Hey everyone, I got a great show today. I have an old buddy on from chiropractic school who's actually been a professional athlete and he's now a pro bodybuilder. We're going to go over how he got into chiropractic, how he became a pro athlete, how he got into bodybuilding, and also we'll go over the story about how he almost died playing baseball. And I'm going to bring all that to you and more right after this. Stick around.
Game on, sports, fitness, and health fans, with another episode of the Sporting Good Posture Digital Radio Experience. Gear up for Coach Frank's advice from the sidelines as he helps you crush your game. No matter what sports, health, or fitness game you play.
Hey, this is Coach Frank. I'm Sporting Good Posture. What are you sporting?
Hey, Coach, what do you got for us today?
Welcome back to another episode of Sporting Good Posture. This is Coach Frank here, and I have good friend of mine, Dr. Ben Duke, on today, and he's got an amazing story. Everything that he's done has been very successful between chiropractic, baseball, and now pro bodybuilding. And I got to tell you that a couple of years ago, when I knew I was turning 40, he was a big inspiration on me getting back into shape, losing weight, lifting weights again, and really taking control of my health. And I wanted to have him on today so you could talk to him, so you could listen to him and listen to what he has to say about his journey. And you'll get to meet him in just a minute here, right after this message.
Weight loss. It's challenging enough to lose inches and seems like so much work to get the body you want. But why does it have to take so long to see results? Well, now it doesn't have to. Introducing the LipoLaser Instant Fat Loss System at Ideal Health and Wellness Center. Now you can work toward those long-term weight loss goals, lose weight, and keep it off with visible results from your very first session. The FDA-approved LipoLaser Instant Fat Loss System uses high-powered LED light to literally melt away unwanted fat safely and effectively. In just a few sessions, you can really see and feel the difference in your waistline or many of those other trouble areas too. LipoLaser Fat Loss from Ideal Health and Wellness is the way to get the visible results you deserve faster while pursuing your long-term permanent weight loss goals. And that means everything to getting the results you deserve. Call today for a free screening to see if you are a candidate for LipoLaser and find out just how fast you can see the results you want. Call 615-567-6683 now.
So my guest today is Dr. Ben Duke. Dr. Ben is a licensed chiropractic physician. He was named Best Chiropractor in the North Shore in Chicago for the past 3 years. He's also a former professional baseball player, best-selling author, professional speaker, and just last year became a professional bodybuilder champion. So please welcome to Sporting Good Posture, Dr. Ben Duke. Welcome to the show, Doc.
Thanks for having me.
Man, we were just talking about some good times we had in chiropractic school, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I just got to say, man, I've been really impressed ever since I met you years ago about what you've done with your life and really now what you've done in practice and with your career and you know, writing a book and going into bodybuilding. I mean, there's just so many things that you've done. And I wanted to just kind of start out with, I know you've always loved baseball, and you had played for, was it the Rockies?
Yankees, actually.
Oh, it was the Yankees. Okay. So I remember you telling me in school about that. Tell me a little bit how you ended up getting into baseball and then kind of like what happened through your career with that.
With the longer version or the short version? You know, I grew up with the ball in my hand. I mean, it's just the way it was all year long. You know, I joke around with the parents these days in my clinic because, you know, Frank, when we were young, you know, the problem that parents had is they couldn't find us at the end of the day for us to come home for dinner because we were all over the place playing whatever sports. Now they know exactly where they are. They're on the couch. So, you know, it's a little bit of a different situation. But, yeah, I was a 3-sport athlete, excelled in baseball, got a scholarship and played at Eastern Illinois. And, and things went really well. Had a hiccup my junior year in college, which we've talked about, where I actually almost died playing baseball. Wow. You don't really hear that very often. So, the story about that is we were down in Tennessee and we were playing at it was either their AA or AAA stadium at the time. It was in Nashville. It was beautiful. At left center field, they had this huge guitar for their scoreboard, right?
Yeah, they still have.
So we were supposed to play a double header on Saturday and then a 1-9 inning on Sunday. Well, we take BP or batting practice before the games, right? Right. And during batting practice, I hit a ball that hit the scoreboard and knocked the lights out.
Oh, wow.
And they said, rumor has it that they didn't really appreciate that too much. And so I got hit like 3 times that day in 2 games.
Oh,
anyway, so then the next day, well, we still won the game, so I was pretty happy about that. So the next day, on Sunday, we were the visiting team, so I was either the second or third batter up, I don't remember. And, it was like 1 ball, no strikes, and the guy threw a fastball. And because he threw kind of sidearmish, it tails into right-handed batters. I thought the pitch was just coming in high.
yeah.
And it ended up hitting me directly in the face.
Oh, man.
And so what happened after that is that my knees buckled and I collapsed on the plate. No good. Didn't really move for a little while. I don't really know how long. But then they said I started convulsing on the plate.
Oh,
and
okay.
so they rushed me to Vanderbilt Hospital and had some emergency surgeries. I had broke my nose. My teeth had caved in. My lips were split. I looked like the Predator when I was in the hospital bed waiting for the doctors to see me. But the funny thing about that was I didn't remember anything. And they said that I might remember things as I got older. I still don't remember anything. I just remember the pitch coming in high. The next thing I know, I am literally in a hospital bed with my uniform on, covered in blood, with tubes all over my body, and I have no idea what happened. So I had to have them explain it to me. But yeah, so I had reconstructive surgeries. I had my mouth wired shut for 2 weeks. So that made it really difficult because we were like 2/3 of the way through the season, and because I couldn't eat or anything, I lost like 15 pounds in like 2 weeks. Came back, finished the year strong, or as strong as I could, and then my senior year. And so, yeah, that was a big hiccup for me. So moving forward, yeah, I got picked up by the Yankees, pretty low rounds. We were expected to go a lot higher, but you know how things go. I got hurt like right before then, so my draft status got kind of swapped down.
Yeah.
And I didn't really last too long. I was probably kicked around for about a year and a half. I just couldn't stay healthy. My knees were just not having it. But it was a fantastic experience. I loved every minute. It was basically fulfilling my childhood dream of, playing in the majors. So
yeah.
But, eventually just decided, to kind of call it quits. And unlike some baseball players and some of my close friends, where, they basically give you your papers and they tell you to walk, I got to decide, I was done. And so that gave me some closure. And I always had, in the back of my mind, I had chiropractic to fall back to. So it wasn't that I had nothing. He's like, okay, well, now that this is over, now I can move forward and do the next phase, right? So
yeah. So had you been exposed to chiropractic like in high school or through college?
Yes. So absolutely. So I had in my head, when you're young, you just have something in your head and you can't really articulate why, but I always wanted to be a medical doctor. And I think it's because my mom raised me and my brother basically on her own for the most of our life. And we didn't have much money, right? And for me, I wanted to make money and I wanted to help people. And for me, that was going to be a medical doctor. But then when I got into high school, I started having injuries to my back. One that was actually pretty severe, where I was on crutches for a couple weeks. And I got introduced to a chiropractor at my church potluck from this old lady. She's like, you should go see my chiropractor. He's fantastic. I bet he can help you. I'm like, I don't know what that is. But the dude literally saw me that day on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, wow.
He knew who I was because I was in the middle of basketball season.
Yeah.
And he wanted to help. So he literally saw me that day, and that was my first kind of introduction to what chiropractic was. And he sat me down, he took his time, he kind of explained things, he took x-rays, he explained through the x-rays, and it just all kind of made a lot of sense because before it was like, okay, well, here's your choices. You can be on drugs because they'll just kind of numb you up. We can try to do PT, but eventually you're just going to need surgery because your back's in bad shape, and we don't know how to treat it.
Right.
And so that was really frustrating for somebody who lived through sports, right? And that's what they thought that their life path was going to be on. So for that to get stunted, at a young age was really frustrating. So my chiropractor rescued me. I mean, I don't even know what my life would be like without that. And that's the honest truth. So I stuck with him, obviously, after that, just because I saw a lot of value. you get aches and pains along the way when you're a 3-sport athlete. So I just continued going. And then obviously, you know, the longer you go, the more you start to understand the philosophy and the science and the art of it all. And I'm just like, man, I think this is more me. I think this is more what aligns with my values and what I want to do for my patients, not the medical route. Not to say there's anything wrong with that. I have a lot of friends that are medical doctors, and that's fantastic. They want to help people in that way. I just love the fact that not only could you connect, you know, and really bond with your patients, but you could actually see their progress. You could see them improve. You could see them get healthier, and it wasn't anything that you were giving them or taking away, you know, that they needed. It was just you were allowing their body to function freely and at a higher level. And, you know, it was really cool. I really enjoyed that. And so, you know, ever since I went to chiropractic college and took that plunge, haven't looked back, no regrets. Everything's been great.
That's kind of the same for me. That's how I got involved, was in high school. I'd hurt my back playing football. It made my last couple of years of high school just injury-free, and I felt like I was faster, stronger, didn't really get hurt anymore. It made a huge difference in my abilities, I felt like. And at that moment, too, I felt like, man, this is a cool thing. If I could work with athletes, if I could help people without giving them medicine, that was really my goal, just like you were saying.
The language that you hear online, the language that you hear in the mass media is that people just can't handle things on their own. They're weak people, so they need help. They need drugs. They need surgeries. And so we've kind of crippled our mental approach to understanding, no, we have so much inside us, you know, when talking about how strong our immune systems are and how they're connected to our nervous systems and how that can play a factor for your spinal hygiene and chiropractic and all that. You know, once people start to hear those things and get empowered, it's much different, because it's funny, and it doesn't really matter how old a person is. You know, it's obviously better to get started early, but I talk to 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, I'm like, why didn't I hear this 20 years ago, 30 years ago? I'm like, I don't know. Great question. So.
Same here, man. I hear it all the time. And I tell people, you know, it's never too late. It's never too late. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you're 9 years old or you're 90, it's still not too late. You can turn your power back on.
Still got a pulse. You got a chance. That's right.
That's right. So that led you to go to chiropractic school. And then once you left chiropractic school, you went back to Chicago and opened a practice there?
Chiropractic college is about 3.5 years, and if you get done with your clinicals, which is like the last third of your tenure there, if you get done with your clinicals early, you can go precept, which means you can work inside a chiropractic office setting and learn, you know, the basically how to run a clinic and how to be successful in the clinic. And I saw so much value in that. So I think the last 1 or 2 breaks that we had, I stayed on campus. I don't know if you did with me one time, but I stayed. You know, you went on the abroad, didn't you?
I did the clinic abroad.
Yeah, you went on. So that's how you got a bunch of credits.
Yeah.
So I stayed back, and I didn't have any money because I probably blew it. But so
I borrowed it.
I got done early, and the coolest thing is a chiropractor that I'd met at homecoming, who connected me with my chiropractor from home. They knew each other, and they introduced me, and he's like, hey, you get done with your clinicals early, we got a place for you. And it was in Lamont, Illinois, which is just a suburb of Chicago.
Yeah.
And so I went and did that. And so I actually got to I didn't get to practice, but I got to be a part of that situation while I was still in school. And oh my gosh, game changer, man. I just loved it, because as great as chiropractic college is, and they teach you how to be a good clinician and all that, they do not teach you how to be a business person.
No, they don't.
Teach you what it means to be successful and how to take care of a practice and how to take care of a team and all this other stuff that, you know, will make or break you. So to actually see that was so eye-opening and scary at the same time, but the experience was tremendous. So I stayed with him for a little bit longer, and then there was an opportunity that opened up to own my own clinic. It was actually a failing clinic, but it was in a good area. And I was like, all right, well, I'm looking for a challenge, and I wanted my own opportunity. So that was like 15 years ago. And so, we call that my mother clinic at the time. And
yeah, I know that you got involved with that, but then did you also gear your practice to see athletes, or did you gear it more to, like just family practice? I never really asked you that before.
I was more family based. Now, did I have some certifications and specialties to help athletes? Yes, but I was more on that family care, corrective care model system. And
right.
I just saw a lot of value in that. Now, if people need further treatments, orthopedics and things like that, we tried to help that as much as we could. The only thing that kind of limited me in my first practice was space. And when we started getting busier and busier, it just got harder because we just didn't have the space.
Yeah.
So, but it was great because, to be honest with you, you think of that as a bad thing, but it created such a cool culture where everybody got to know each other, and they would talk with each other and enjoy each other while they were doing their therapies and their exercises and waiting to get adjusted. So it was pretty neat. And being a young guy, when my clinic was taking off, I was only 27, 28. Yeah. So it was really neat, and I loved it so much. It was like one of those things where I get all the time, especially now after the book, and I travel and I speak and I do some forums and things like that, and they're always looking for like the magic bullet or what's the golden ticket of being successful. And I tell them, I say, I don't know, except that you just need to work harder than everyone else. If you enjoy what you do, it's not work, just get after it. Yeah. If you think you have problems, you don't. You don't really have real problems. Unless your wife is dying of cancer in the hospital, you don't have real problems. You just have work to do. That's what it is. So if you look at it from that scope, that frame of mind, then it makes things simple, and people can really start to kind of more embrace that entrepreneurial mindset of, no, I can control it. I can put my foot on the gas, and I can decide how much I want to go, right? So
exactly, man. Well, and that's what I was going to ask you about too. Is that kind of what your book is based on? So Dr. Ben wrote his book, Adjusting for Leadership, A Journey to Fine Alignment in Life and Business. And is that what you base that on? Because I need to read it. I remember you had sent that out. I need to read that. And I'm just impressed that you wrote a book, man. Like, that's just so impressive to me that you had the time with all the things you do to go write a book too.
I wrote it, and people ask me what the book's about. And it is about life and business and trying to figure out. But the overarching theme is making mistakes and moving forward. That's what that's what the book's all about. And it's frustrating because my daughter, and I know you have children, and my daughter is 6 now, right? And we're blessed to have her in a Montessori type atmosphere where it's different than standard schooling. So she's taught differently. She gets to learn and being creative and all this stuff. But when you get into standardized schools, it's really frustrating to me now that I'm older and I kind of look back, because schools kind of set you up to fail. And what I mean by that is they're teaching you the wrong ways to be successful. They're saying, okay, do what you're told, don't make mistakes, try to be perfect, fall in line, do what everyone else does.
Yeah.
And all recipes for disaster in the real world.
Yeah.
Because you have to make mistakes. You have to figure it out. And the only way to be successful is to get muddy, get dirty, make mistakes, look silly. And
be different than everybody else. All the people successful now are different than everybody else.
Right.
Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, like all these guys, they were different than everybody else.
Yeah. And so when you read the book, that's what it is. It's stories of just making mistakes and learning and navigating along the way. And that's life, man.
Well, let me ask you, so now you wrote your first book, but now since then you've gotten into bodybuilding, and I don't think you were into bodybuilding at the time you wrote your book. So tell me how you got into bodybuilding, because you were always a guy in good shape, but man, like, it's impressive what you've done now with bodybuilding. And you're 41 now, right?
41, that's right.
Yeah, you started just a couple years ago?
What's that? Yeah, I just
started a couple years ago.
Yeah, we started about a little over 2 years ago now.
That's right, because your wife is doing it with you. That's amazing.
So it was her idea.
Oh, wow.
So we're sitting, it's a Sunday afternoon, and we're sitting in outside our daughter's ballet studio, right? We're waiting for her to be done. Yeah. We're watching her on the little TV cameras and all that other stuff. And she's looking at some fitness magazine or something like that. And we're looking, so it's almost winter in Chicago at that time. Now, let me explain something. And you probably know this, being from the East Coast, is if you don't have something like a goal or an aspiration moving into the winter, you're screwed, because you're just going to hate life for like 3, 4, 5 months, because you're just going to be in this lull of just depression. So we were looking for something to do, and we wanted to kind of unite our efforts together somehow. And she's looking at this women's fitness magazine, and she comes across this article about bodybuilding, and she starts reading about it. She's like, "Hey, what do you think about doing a bodybuilding show?" I'm like, "All right, sure. I don't know anything about it, but why not? You look good. I can try to look good. We'll figure it out." So, oh my gosh. So you don't know what you don't know. You don't realize how all-encompassing it is, how the lifestyle is just completely intrusive of everything else that you do. So the fact that we did it together had to happen, because if only one of us did it, we would have hated the other person because of how much you have to do. Because, I mean, it's not just working out, it's your diet, it's your sleep, it's everything. It's your meal preps, posing, it's everything, man. And then for her, she also has to do, the makeup and all the suit, and it gets a little crazy. So we had success. We did a regional show the very first year, and I actually ended up winning the overall competition. So I beat some guys that were younger than me, which I thought was really cool.
That's incredible, man.
And she did very well as well. She got first and she got second in her divisions. And so we both qualified for a national show, which we never planned on doing anything after the first show. We were like, okay, we did it. Check that off the bucket list. We're done. But then we had people in our ears saying, no, you have some potential. You should try, a national show, see how you do. So a national show, you have to qualify for, right? You either got to get first or second in a regional show. And then in a national show, the cool thing is you have the potential to get your pro card, which means you become a professional bodybuilder, right? An international federation bodybuilder, okay?
Yeah.
And which, we would watch these Instagram people and these Facebook people, and we were like, okay, we can't look like that. That's ridiculous. They're like the top 1%. But anyway, it's one of those things where you just keep working, and your body keeps changing if you're consistent and you're dedicated almost to the point of obsession, and you just keep working and working. And I tell you what, we got ready for the national show, and I ended up winning the overall. And
amazing, man.
Yeah, and I ended up winning my pro card. And Jacqueline, my wife, she got second. Wow. And I was like, oh, so close. Then she turns around 3 weeks later, does another show in Pittsburgh, and she gets her pro card. So we both got our pro card in the span of 1 month, where there are people out there that have tried for 10 years.
I know. I've heard
come
about
close. That. And so it's the combination of being very lucky, very blessed, and just being right timing, working hard. All those things kind of came together for us. But it was very, very surreal that got to happen. So now that we're professionals, we decided to do another show together coming up here in April, and we're going to go against the best in the world. We're going to go against the open class. For me, it's men's physique. For her, it's bikini. Yeah, and we're just going to see how we do.
So where's that going to be?
Charlotte, North Carolina. It's called the Charlotte Pro.
That's awesome.
It's on April 15th, which is my birthday. So hopefully I got some good mojo going there.
Yeah, man.
So, but I saw some of my competition, and one of the guys has like 16 abs, so it's going to be tough.
Well, man, I know that you've been training hard for that, and you've taken it to that extreme because you know what it takes to really get that kind of aesthetic look that you're looking for, and the posing and the diet and everything. What about, there's so many, I'm sure you have a lot of patients that ask about this, about diet and exercise and just trying to burn some fat or just gain a little bit of muscle. Could you go into a little bit of, like, for people that are just trying to get back in shape, what would you suggest to them to do, and how should they approach it? Yeah,
first, it's really important that you know what your goals are. I hate the word diet, because to me, diet means you're going to do something for a short period of time and then you're going to go back to whatever you did before.
Right.
People come to me and they say, Dr. Duke, I need to lose weight, or Dr. Duke, I need to do this. You don't have a weight problem. You have a bad habit around healthy eating problem. That's what it is. And so when you establish that it's not, I do something for a short period of time and then I'm done, and you realize, no, it's consistency over time. That's where hopefully the mindset can change. Again, we've been taught in this culture is like quick, everything should be quick. No, anything that's worth doing and that is really meaningful should take time. It should be hard. It should not be easy. But maintaining those results is definitely gets easier. So what I would recommend is kind of uniting yourself and your vision with a goal, like a really true, strong goal. And then what you want to do after that is you want to realize that there's fad diets out there. You got the keto diet, you got the carnivore diet, you got all this other stuff. But for me, and for the way that God designed our bodies, is that we need everything. We need carbs, we need proteins, we need fats. And we just do. I mean, for the most part, I mean, some genetic markers might be different. I am talking to general people. Yeah. And so when it comes to being healthy, by the way, being a certain weight, it does not mean you're healthy. There's a missing. I agree. Just because you're skinny does not mean you're healthy. And we grew up in the 80s. All our wives, they looked up to Kate Moss and all these people that look like they were emaciated. And that's not health. So we need to understand what true health is, and that is that we want to make sure, yes, that we look good, that's fine, but that we have strong muscles that protect us against stress, and that we have, like you said before, good posture, but also we have good alignment so that our nervous system is working through our bodies clearly. So back to the diet thing, it's really simple, okay? It's really simple. If people really stick to this, it can work for anybody. First and foremost, you need to figure out what your goals are. Let's say I want to lose 10 pounds. Great. How fast do you want to lose 10 pounds? And we got to keep it fair. If you're trying to lose more than 1.5 pounds a week, that's a little insane. Because it's a little bit too much for the body. Your body will metabolically reset too much. It won't sustain. So let's say you want to lose 1 pound a week. Simple stuff. It's all about math. So we got to figure out what your baseline calorie intake is. Okay? Your baseline, which means you keep track of your calories for a week. Now, it's not that hard. There are apps for it. It's very easy. All the apps have like basically all the food that you could possibly want, or you can scan the barcode. So it's not like you have to type all this stuff in. Yeah. Just entering it into an app. And at the end of the week, you can calculate what your average calorie intake is. Okay? So let's say that it's 3,000 calories and you want to lose weight. Simply put, you go into a caloric deficit. Okay. If you go into a caloric deficit, that means that you want to reduce your calories by a certain number. Typically, anywhere between 300 and 500 is a good start point. Okay. If you start losing your desired weight within the first week or two, you're doing great. If you're not, you can start subtracting another couple hundred calories. Do you understand?
Yes.
And because it's that simple. Your body needs a certain amount to sustain where you are, unless you're gaining weight like crazy. That's what your baseline is. So once you have your baseline, you can go into a deficit. How do you gain weight or gain muscle? You go into a surplus, which means you eat more than what you're normally doing so that you can gain. Now, for bodybuilders, it makes sense because they want to gain muscle. For everyday people, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Yeah. Because you don't really need to gain bulky muscle. You want lean muscle. You want a good cardiovascular system, and you want to take care of that nutrition in your sleep. I mean, these are the baselines for health, right?
That's right.
I just threw up a lot of information.
No, that's all really good. So a lot of people think they can gain muscle and burn fat at the same time. It's difficult to do both, right? Or is it possible?
It is hard. They call it body recomposition. It's possible. What would most likely happen is when you recomp that your body would start looking thinner and looking healthier, but the scale wouldn't change that much because muscle does weigh more than fat. That is true. And so if you're changing the way your body image is and you're changing internally how healthy you are, the scale might not change, but you look tremendously different. And that's why, with women, it's a lot harder because they kind of get stuck on that number, right? They're like, I need to weigh this number because that's the number I weighed when I was 18. I'm like, okay, well, you're not 18. And there's a lot of changes that need to be made. And maybe you don't even though you liked being 18, your body is not going to look exactly the same. So maybe it's good to put on a little bit more muscle to kind of cover up a little bit of the fat stores that you have. You know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah, especially if you're a woman, you've had kids and stuff like that, or if you're a guy and you've had gained and lost weight over the years, or used to be bigger and now you're not. That makes a difference too. Well, that's all good advice, man. I really appreciate everything that you've talked about today. I think it's been, really great for our listeners, because this is the kind of things that I'm sure you get in your practice every day. They ask you these kind of things. I get a lot of things, like we do that weight loss program with lipo laser, and I do chiropractic. So I try to encompass as much as I can, especially because I don't want people going out there and doing crazy things on their own, because if you watch a YouTube video, it's usually not going to be successful on how you diet and exercise, or whatever you want to call it. It usually doesn't work. So most people with their New Year's goals, we just had New Year's last month. After about 2 weeks in, there's a day called Ditch Your New Year's Resolutions Day, and they give up on it. And so many people do. And I tell you, with the weight loss I've done for the last 7 or 8 years, most people come in February, not so much January, because they typically try it on their own. They watch some videos. They're like, oh, I can do that. And they don't have the motivation. They don't have the consistency. They don't have the coaching. So they don't get the results they want. And like you said, they want the quick fix. So they wait. And then finally in February, they're like, oh, spring break's next month. I got to do something now. Yeah. And they kind of come in then and try to fix it. So that's kind of what I've experienced with it. And, just like you have a coach for bodybuilding. You've had, coaches for, do you have a nutritional coach too, or?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So, Dr. Duke here, he's a pro bodybuilder, and he's got coaches for both nutrition, posing, and for lifting. So, everybody needs a coach. Tiger Woods has a coach. All these pros have a coach. And I think it's just important to have somebody to do it with you. And also you had your wife. I think it's very important when somebody does these things with you, because you're going to be more successful, whether it's a friend, a spouse, a cousin, and a parent, whatever it is. Like somebody that does it with you, you're going to be more successful. And definitely with the coaches, it makes your ability to succeed even higher.
It's very, very hard when you get older to want to do something out of your comfort zone. And the reason why I've had success is because I just kind of have this goal-getting mentality of wanting to do things that push myself. Now, you don't have to be that crazy person, but I would encourage everyone that's listening to do something that's pushing you forward and gets you out of your comfort zone. Because I'm telling you, you stay in that comfort zone too long, it becomes a very bad place. You start hearing the voices in your head a lot more. And, you think about who you are and what you wish you were, and it creates that chaos. So, when you start doing something hard, or you just start doing something worthwhile in one area, just one, it transcends in others, I tell you. So whether it's exercising, or you're trying to lose weight, or whatever it is, and it makes a difference, and it makes a difference for the people around you, because now you're actualizing best self, right? You're really moving forward and trying to figure out what you can become. So,
well, man, that's great advice. I wanted to ask you, how can people get a hold of you, like social media, or, because I'm sure they'd want to follow you now with your bodybuilding and everything. So how can they follow you on social media in your office and everything?
So IG and Facebook are Dr. Ben Duke. I think on IG it's IFBB Pro, but if you just type in Dr. Ben Duke, I should come up. As far as my website, it's liveelite.com. And if any of the listeners want to reach out and have any personal questions, they can just either DM me, or my email will be on the website as well. And the book's on Amazon if they want to look that up.
That's right. It's one of the best sellers on there. I was just looking up. It's got some great reviews. So you said the book is available on Amazon. And what was the name of the book again?
The book is Adjusting for Leadership, A Journey to Find Alignment in Life and Business.
I love it, man. Well, I'm looking forward to you doing another book with your new tales about bodybuilding and everything. And And I think that's great, you and your wife doing that together. I think that's just an amazing thing. For all the listeners out there, go on Facebook and Instagram and check them out, because it's impressive with what they've done in just a couple years here. And it just shows how consistency and determination really make a difference in life with your goals. And they are proof of that pudding right there.
Yeah, I think so much. One thing I didn't mention is if people like the content or what you heard or want to hear more about the book and what I'm about with leadership and self-leadership and all that, I also have a YouTube page at Dr. Ben Duke, and it's got a lot of free content, videos, and things like that if they're interested.
Excellent, man.
Yeah.
So follow Dr. Ben Duke at Dr. Ben Duke on Instagram and Facebook. You can DM him there. Any questions you have about exercise and chiropractic, anything like that. If you're in the Chicago area, he's one of the best chiropractors I know. And I highly recommend going to him and listening to what he has to say, reading his book. This man has done a lot with his life, and when he puts his mind to something, he always accomplishes it. And man, as the years have gone on, I've really admired what you do, and you inspire people like me who are in practice too. And you know, I got back into lifting weights a lot because I saw what you were doing. I mean, I'm not going to be a bodybuilder, but I did lose weight. I got back in shape, and I'm much happier than I was just a few years ago. Because when I looked at 40, I was like, man, I'm hitting 40, and I need to go into my 40s healthy. I can't. It's hard to play catch up at that point. Yeah. So I made it a goal to really get back in shape, and I got to tell you, like, I followed what you were doing, and I was like, man, I want to get myself back in shape. I know that it's possible.
That's great. That means a lot, man. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Are you moving down to Florida, you said?
In the end of May, Sarasota, Florida. Here I come.
That's going to be awesome, man. That's a great spot to move.
Yes.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you very, very much. Yeah.
That's a great bodybuilding place, too, down there.
Hey, I gotta establish my clinic first, so I might be taking a break from the body. My body needs to rest a little.
Yeah. Well, I wish you tremendous luck going down there with the new practice and moving down there. I know you're just gonna do well. Everything you do, man, you find a way to make it through and be successful. So I'm looking forward to watching you do that and reading your book, and then looking forward to your next book that you'll do at some point.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Doc.
Thanks for being on the show again. Thanks for taking the time today.
You bet, man. You bet.
So definitely follow Ben on Instagram and Facebook and go on his journey with him on going for bodybuilding. He's really got a lot going for him, and I've admired him since I met him. I've known him now since 2003 or 2004, so I've known him a long time, almost 20 years, and it's really inspiring to see people like that go to school, that you go to school with, and then really be successful. And really, whatever he goes to do and he puts his mind to, he's done it. So definitely read his book, follow him on Instagram and Facebook, and really just work on your own goals. You know, for the new year here, do the things that you need to do, set goals, be consistent. I do think what he was saying about being consistent is one of the most important things. It outdoes if you have talent or anything else. Consistency is the key, and if you stick with something, you will get your goals accomplished. But just have that goal in mind and have realistic goals and have steps with your goals so that you can do realistic goals to reach your final goal. Again, what I tell a lot of my patients is I think that if you can fit in that old pair of pants, that's really the best gauge on how well you're doing at this point. The scale isn't always the magic number of what really matters the most. I think how you're fitting in your clothes and how you're feeling overall is what's the most important thing. As always, follow me on Instagram at Sporting Good Posture and on Facebook at Ideal Health and Wellness Center. DM me there. Tell me what's going on, and I'll tell you what I think. This is Coach Frank. I'm Sporting Good Posture. How about you?
The Sporting Good Posture Podcast is a broadcast wellness production powered by Ideal Health Wellness Center. All content copyright 2021. All rights reserved. Executive producer Frank Sardella. Coach Frank appears courtesy of Ideal Health Wellness Center in Franklin. For more information, visit sportinggoodposture.com and follow Coach on Instagram at sportinggoodposture.
I notice you're sporting good posture. I sport good posture too.